Good morning. It's mid-April 2020 and we're definitely living in unprecedented times, as they say. Firstly, I hope you are home safe and well with your friends and family and staying home, obviously. A huge thank you to all the frontline workers who don't have that luxury. Now, down to business. People have been asking me about mortgages. If the lenders are still working, can they get a mortgage? And what's going to happen once we get back to normal or some sort of normalcy? Well, best to ask an expert, I think. So I'll let Shane introduce himself.
Hey, Andrew, it's Shane Farrell from yourmortgageyourway.ca. We're part of the Mortgage Center franchise, and I'm a broker for the past 20 years.
Excellent, excellent. So can you tell us how lenders are reacting at the moment? And following on from that, once some normalcy returns, can you use your crystal ball and let us know if mortgage applications and approvals will be going back to how they were before, or do you foresee some changes?
Andrew, the mortgages and the banks are still lending money. So rest assured, if people do require to refinance their home, or if they are purchasing a home, they can still apply. We're still working through these times. They are just getting a little strict with their guidelines. A little stricter. So you're seeing certain lenders, if you're trying to access equity, just be a little bit more reserved in terms of how much people can borrow. So they're just getting a little tighter, but they're still working through. There haven't been many or any significant changes to qualifying for a mortgage right now. So it should still roughly stay the same even after we come through this.
Okay, so you may have to put a bigger deposit down at the moment. Is that what it boils down to?
Not necessarily. You can still buy a property with putting the minimum of 5% down. So, and if you're looking at buying a second property, if it's like for a family member, you can still do that with the 5 to 10% down as well. If you're looking at buying an investment property, still 20%. What I would just keep in mind is when you're buying a property, just make sure that you're in line with the market sales, especially during this time, because you'll find that certain appraisers might be a little more conservative with their value.
Are they still going back with the 6 months on appraisals? Do you know?
No, it's generally 3 months.
3 months.
Right? So it's within the last 3 months. And again, it depends on where your property, where the location of your property. In the GTA, it's mainly 3 months. But if you're looking at cottage country or certain markets where it does take a longer time, they can stretch it to 6 months.
Yeah, because just thinking when you said that, I have some clients at the moment they need to move. So they've dropped their listings to below really market value because there's less buyers around. That's just a bit of concern if the appraisers start using those appraisals, which are out of the norm. You know, they're almost outliers. So
they are, however, what always dictates, market value is the most recent sales. So you can have, months of history where prices have gone up, and the one neighbor who needs to sell their home, if it's a need, they do need to drop their price. That would affect the general prices of homes in the neighborhood.
Right. And am I right in saying that if the lender thinks it's overpriced, they base the mortgage on what the appraisal is, and you just have to come up with the difference?
Correct. So it's important so it depends. So when you're looking at buying a property with less than 20%, we would be using the mortgage insurance companies, CMHC, Genworth, Canada Guarantee, and sometimes they use an electronic appraisal to verify the value. However, if the purchase is beyond that electronic scope, they would order their own appraiser out to come out to view the property. And if that's the case, if the value does come in lower than what you paid for, you would have to come up with a difference.
Right. Okay. So just be a little bit careful at the moment. Okay. Correct. Now, as far as the GTA is concerned, that really drives our market up here, the GTA. Have you found the market's gone a bit softer, a bit quieter? Is there less applications?
There are people are being cautious right now. Clearly, since there aren't any open houses and you can't really go to properties only by appointment, there has been a slowdown. And especially, I think this is gonna happen until we come out through this crisis. We have seen a decline in sales and also listings. So people who do need to sell, they're selling for a reason, but there are still buyers out there.
Okay, that's good. Pent up demand, do you think, depending how long this goes on for?
Depending, if we look at 2008 and 2009 when we went to that recession in 2008, housing prices started picking up in May of 2009, and it just went through the roof. And real estate is a pretty huge component of our economy. So I believe, at least my best guess would be, after we get through this, the vaccine comes out and people start getting back to work getting back to work and the jobless rates do start dropping again. We can see, at least my hope is to see that start going back. It'll go back to normal.
And as far as the lender's concerned, you said they've got a few more stringent rules in place, or do you think that'll continue now, even when we get back to normal? Or will
So what lenders, that's a good question. What you're finding right now is lenders are being a little stringent, but they're doing their due diligence. So if they approve you for a mortgage, you'll see spot checks a week or 2 weeks before closing. They will call your employer again, just to make sure.
They're worried about people being they approve the mortgage and they just want to check the buyers in the same position financially, i.e.
Exactly.
still has a job and an income.
Right.
It's not a case of it's more difficult to get the mortgage. That, as you said, it's just the due diligence. They're just double checking because they know a lot of people are losing their jobs or taking less pay.
Well, it's exactly, even if you're self-employed, for example. I think some people who are self-employed right now are in a difficult situation. Let's just say you own a grocery store, you're okay. But if you own a bakery store, you don't necessarily have to be open, or a coffee house, you can't be open. So how are you going to support your mortgage at that point in time? So they are doing their due diligence just to make sure that, okay, at the time of approval, you're still making money, but are you still working? Right now, you'll find that most people are working from home, or they can work from home, but we don't know how long that's going to last.
Right. Okay.
So I would just be a little more concerned if, you can get your mortgage approved, but a week or 2 weeks before closing, if this crisis does continue for a lot longer and your job is compromised, that might affect you,
right,
and your qualification, even though you do have a full approval.
So maybe best, if that happens to you, contact your lender or your mortgage broker and preempt any problems closer to closing.
Well, yeah, exactly. Always stay in touch. I always tell all my clients, stay in touch with me throughout the process. Don't make any sudden purchases or big purchases. And if you do feel that you are going to be, your job might be compromised, perhaps now wouldn't be the time to get into a bigger purchase right now, or have a shorter closing date that that, okay, you know what, you're safe for the next 2 to 3 weeks or the next month. A closing might suffice.
Okay, great. So I'll put your contact details, because it's obviously a complex subject and each case is different. So I'll put all your contact details below us from this video. But if you'd just like to give us your phone number or email or whatever's best to contact you, Shane, that'd be fantastic.
Oh, that's great. The phone number is 647-274-5796. And my email is shane@ymyw.ca.
Great. And some of my clients work with Shane. They've been very pleased with the level of service. And I know he's willing just to answer questions, even if you're not in a position at the moment to go any further. So don't hesitate to contact him. That's great. Thanks very much, Shane.
Great talking to you, Andrew.